In this video, we're going to talk about some basic design elements of your DMS website. So again, as a reminder, in order to edit your Oasis website, you are going to go to explorema.com and sign in the upper right-hand corner with your username and password. When landing on that dashboard, you're going to click on the menu item that says Oasis Site, and then you're going to click on the button that says Edit Oasis Site. That'll bring you to this website editor, which is our Oasis platform for MA Web Centers and Web Solutions. And now you're on the page. In this case, we are on the About Me page. But again, as a quick reference, you can go to the Pages tab and then pick out whatever page you're looking to update. In this case, we will stay on the About Me page. Again, to close out this menu or minimize it, you click on the little X, and that will bring you back to a full screen view of your website. Now, we talked a little bit about the basic overview and overlay of the rows and columns and sections in an earlier webinar. We also talked about how to change text, basic buttons, as well as images. So what we're going to do now is talk a little bit more in detail in terms of design aspects of the website. So as we go down, you will see that we've got various rows that are built in here, and each row has its own set of properties. So if we wanted to change any design elements of this row, and this row is defined as this image here in a column, as well as a column here with a couple different text boxes here. One is my name and one is the paragraph. I can click on the row tab. So when I do a single click, it brings up some information that is important for me. So one of the things you can notice in this title here is you have an up and down arrow. So you can actually take this entire row and move it down or up. So for example, if I move it down, I click on this arrow and you'll see that now it has been placed below the subsequent row. So now I can continue to move this down and reorder the rows as I wish. So in this case, I actually don't want to do that. So I can actually use the undo button, or I can simply move this back up using the up arrow within the corner row widget. Okay, so now let's come back down here and move it up one more, and it should be back where we had it originally. Okay, so you can use the row menu as a way to move the row up or down. Now, each of these will go through. One is Edit Design. So when we click on Edit Design, we will see a design widget. And this is going to be the same on many of the other widgets that have a design tab. You'll see that in the corner, you've got a little help button, but you've got a little gear and settings. If I click on that, it shows me that I can clear the padding. I can change the animation. So whether that's flying in or as I scroll, how does it behave? I can hide a row on a certain device, whether it's the desktop, tablet, or mobile. I can also copy the row. So if I like how the row is laid out and I just want to change the content, I can copy this. And then what I can do is then paste it and then edit the content as well. Now, set as an anchor is going to be used when I want to maybe link to this row from any area of the site. And of course, more advanced is the HTML functionality here, which we're not going to edit. And of course, if you want to delete a row, you can, but once you delete it, it is not coming back. So make sure that you want to delete it before you do so. Now, as we come back over here, we're going to come back to the row design elements. We've got basic settings, we've got style, animation, and spacing. Those are all going to happen to walk me through. If I want to jump to those, I can click on it, but it's just going to walk me through. So initially, we've got settings. Change the effects, desktop and tablet. So full bleed row. That means that this entire row is going to take up the entire size of the website. Now we have a row that's pretty much taking up the whole row, but as I click this, you can see that the picture took up the whole space, so there was no padding. As I scroll down, you'll see the style. Is there a color? Yeah, the background color. And you can see this blue background is in this whole row. So if I wanted to change that, I click on the color and I come to this color wheel. I can actually save some colors by using the plus sign and saving various colors. So maybe I want to save that blue color, or I can just find out the recent colors, or I can reset the palette, or I can go in here and totally customize the color scheme here. Or if I had the actual hex code or the RGB color code. I could input that. And then I can have some translucence here, so I can actually change whether or not that's transparent or not. And that's all in the color. You can also use a gradient styling. So I would actually have two different colors, right? So you can see like a gray and the blue. So everything we have with the background color can be managed within the design aspects. Now the row doesn't have a border, but if I wanted a border, I could change the color of the border. For example, we could just do a blue border, or that looks more like black. And then what we can do is we could change how thick that border line is. So you can see that as well. And then of course, if we wanted a shadow, we could do a shadow and then position the shadow. So again, a lot of functionality in the design. We've built these so they're beautifully designed templates, but if you wanted a little bit more customization, you can do that. Now animation, right? So again, it changes on the desktop or the tablet. So the trigger maybe is on a scroll. So as you're scrolling down, we want that section or that row to fade in, right? And where do we want it? Do we want it to be the top, from the bottom? Here it is, right? So we can change a lot of this, and then of course you can preview that. And spacing lets you know where that element sits. So right now we're within the row, but if you wanted to create some space around the row, you can see that there's no margin right here, 0 pixels, right? So you can play with those margins on the inside and the outside. So no content will be abutting right up to that line if you don't want. So right now you can see that we've got this space here from the picture to the top of the row is about 70 pixels. And you can see if I change that to 24, what happens? It shrinks it. I might want to do it on the bottom as well for uniformity, or I might want to expand it and go upwards of, say, 100. And you can see that now we've really pushed it down. So you've got some flexibility, and then just make sure that you have a visually appealing website. Again, you shouldn't have to change too many of these settings, but a lot of people want to know how they can adjust it. So it is 100% customizable. So again, those are all the aspects of the row edit design features. Now within the row, we can also go in here and add. Maybe we want to add a row above this row, or maybe add a row below it. Maybe we want to add a new section, and we talked about the sections in a previous webinar. Or maybe we want to add a column. So currently, there are 2 columns. One has a picture of the gentleman, and one is a bio. You could add a column within that row. So now you can see that now we have 1, 2, 3 columns. And we could add some content within this column if we'd like. Now, one thing that we didn't mention earlier is any of these sections, if you wanted to simply delete it, you could just click on the red X, and it is deleted. So again, a lot of functionality here when it comes to adding rows or columns, or even an inner row. So if you want to add another section within a section, you can do that. Think of it being built out almost like a scrapbook, right? If you wanted to clear the padding, you could clear it all with one click of a button. And again, a lot of the design elements that we saw in the design widget, you can do right here from the main navigation of the row. Animation, hide on device, and of course, the copy feature. So let's just show you how the copy feature works. If we copy this row, it's going to copy all of the elements. I might come down here to another row, and I'm simply going to click, and then you'll see that the paste shows up. So when I paste it, it has now added another row. So I can go in here, and then I can change some of these elements if I want, so that it makes it very easy for me to go ahead and customize the site, because I like the initial layout of that row, but I didn't want to start from scratch. Okay. In this case, we don't really want that row. It was just for example purposes. So when I click on row, I'm going to then delete it out of there. So again, that was the row feature. But then when we're in a section here, you'll see that if I right click any area, so right click, or on a Apple device, a Mac device, you would actually do 2-finger click. It brings up another, another design element widget. So right here, it allows you, yes, to edit text, edit the design of that text, add a widget below, but you can also change the alignment within that column as well. And then you can select either the column or the row that it sits in. You can see as I hover, it's changing. And you might want to change or hide that section, that title on certain devices. And again, you've got the copy and paste feature. So again, when you right click, you have the ability to access those design elements as well. Right, so you'll see this is the column, and if I wanted to change and switch the columns, I can use the move column left or right button, and then I've got all of the same design functionality for columns as I do for rows, which makes it very easy to stylize and change the formatting of these sections. Now, the last thing I do want to just remind us is that in this section in the row, if we wanted to, under Edit Design, we have the ability to have a color as the background, right? But we also have the ability to have an image as a background. So if you have an image as a background, it would take up the entire background of that row. And you can add multiple images if you want to create it as a background slider. So when we click on the plus button, it brings up the image editor. And then in which case we can also add or upload any images from our computer. So just to show you, I could select multiple pictures here, and when I'm done, they now have become the background of that row. And if I wanted to change it, I would click on this little arrow here, and I would be able to see what each of those looks like. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can add a video as a background to an area. So you can upload a video or use a YouTube video and make that an entire section of your website as well. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to X out of these and delete the images. So there are no images. We'll go back to the color, a nice white background, and there we have it. Now, the last thing that we'll show you how to change the design of is your header and your footer. So as you roll up to the header, you can actually click on the header button, and it brings out a widget for editing the content in the header, the design, and also you could hide the header on certain pages if you want. When I click on Edit Design, it shows you the style of the header. So the layout, the shrinking header, any spacing. It also gives you the option of various types of layouts of headers if you have a logo that you wanted to add as well. So again, all of these widgets are designed the same when it comes to the design aspect. So you should become very familiar with a lot of these little toggles and buttons as they are consistent throughout the entire website editor. Now, as I scroll down, I can also do the same thing in the footer. So when I click on footer, it gives me an option to hide the footer on this page. I can also stylize that footer as necessary. So again, design elements are a very important part of website design. However, our templates were built as such that you could take this and run with it. But if you're looking to customize it further, hopefully this will give you a way that you can style it as you see fit.